right, we are here for our next episode of Machine Success, and we are so happy to have an amazing teacher with a different background and different strategy with us today. Clint and I recently spent some time with Dan at the National H-Tech Educators Conference in Tennessee. And during the conference, we both spent a little bit of time kind of chatting. And the reason that he's here today is we agreed we had to interview him as soon as possible. So working on the East Coast and West Coast schedule, we got some time together. Dan is the manufacturing and welding teacher at Redmond High School and has been for the last 10 years. In 2019, the VFW awarded Dan the Teacher of the Year for the entire state of Oregon, like the entire state of Oregon. Dan serves as a career and technical education department lead, as well as a SkillsUSA advisor. He is passionate about student success, engagement, and excitement in the classroom, and really promoting their achievements. Not to mention, he's just kind of an all-around cool guy. So Dan, thanks so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
So your path to manufacturing education looks a little different than that of others that we work with in the industry. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience as a machinist and programmer in the guitar and surfboard industries and what led you to become a teacher?
Yeah, in high school, my passion was woodworking. I had dreams of becoming a professional surfer. Got close, but wasn't making enough money to make it in that. So I fell back on my skill of woodworking and fell into the guitar industry, which is a really cool, fun job to do. I was building electric guitars in carving guitars in San Diego. And that was kind of my introduction to CNC machining. They didn't have them. The only thing I had heard of was this Shopsmith, which was kind of an all-around woodworking tool. And then they bring in these vertical machining centers, and I wanted to learn, and they put me right on it. And from there, off to training with Mastercam, SolidWorks, other CAD softwares, and then I started a job machining surfboards, which was the first company, I think, in the world. KKL was what it was called, machining foam blanks for some of the largest names in the industry. I did that for a few years, and then we had my son in 2005. Wanted to get out of the chaos of California and moved up to Oregon, and started working for Breedlove Guitars, which is an acoustic guitar company, building very high-end acoustic guitars, and ran their CNC department there. And we had some management changes, and things weren't going too well at the time. And my neighbor was the business teacher here at Redmond High School, and I was over at her house venting one night, and she found out what I did, and she said, "Hey, we're looking for a manufacturing teacher at the high school." And I kind of laughed because I had never even thought about being an educator. I said, "What the heck, I'll give it a try." And I came in here, and 10 years later, I can't imagine doing anything else. It's the funnest, most rewarding career I've ever had. It's like having my own workshop. I get to do anything I want, and I've always loved creating and building, and so teaching welding and machining and 3D printing, and I've got a wood router. I mean, it's like the possibilities are endless. So that's kind of what brought me into the education world. And yeah.
Hey, Dan, it's great to see you, and it was really awesome to see you in Atlanta this year at SkillsUSA. Can you tell us a little bit more about what these competitions actually mean to your students and how you're able to kind of rally community support and to raise funds for SkillsUSA?
Yeah, so obviously trying to become a professional surfer means I'm pretty competitive by nature. And I always talk to the kids about that in the workforce. I started at the bottom as a hand sander, sanding out guitars, and I wanted to be the best at everything I did. And you really never are. There's always somebody better, faster, smarter, whatever there is. But as long as you keep that mindset of trying to be the best, it can drive you to anywhere you want. And these competitions, we drove clear out to Wyoming for a welding competition, went all the way to Atlanta for nationals for 3D printing. SkillsUSA is given us that opportunity to showcase the skills that these kids have. And it's pretty fun, not just the competitions, but the traveling, going to Atlanta. Some of these kids have never left the state of Oregon. So to see a whole nother place, it was still within the United States, but it's so different. The food, the cultures, it just makes it really fun. And we just joined this project manufacturing. I have no idea how that's going to go. I don't think we'll be able to compete at the top level because you're going up against colleges, but it's a challenge and I look forward to it. And we'll see how we do with that.
We actually have a team that performed really well last year doing 3+2 machining. So they don't even have a 5-axis machine at their program. I think it's kind of the ingenuity of manufacturing students can make some pretty amazing things happen. The challenge is almost half the fun, right? And I think, what I loved is when we were talking at the National HTech Conference is you have some of the most interesting CNC projects of any programs out there. And you seem to tailor your projects really to areas that keep your students interested and really engaged. Can you talk a little bit about some of the interesting projects that you've done over the years? Because I truly think they're a differentiator in helping to recruit for your program too.
Yeah. We build all kinds of crazy stuff. Being a surfer, skateboarder, we have a skateboard press that we made. So we build skateboards, we build guitars, acoustic, electric. We built a full suspension go-kart. We do all kinds of games, dominoes and tricky triangles and cribbage boards. And having all this equipment that we have, it's fun because I can incorporate the welding, I can incorporate the CAD and the CAM and switch up the medium. We're not just cutting aluminum, I have tons of exotic wood that I'm able to bring in and just give to the students. But I find that, figuring out what these kids are into, some are musicians, some like the skateboard, some are gamers, whatever it is, we can get the same standards covered, the same objectives covered. It doesn't matter what the project is, but finding what the students are into first. I can tailor the program based around every single kid in here and not overload I do overload myself all the time, but still pull it off. And, last year we did a big furniture building thing. So kids were building themselves furniture. I tell them, when you leave home, you're going to need a coffee table. You're going to need an end table. Why go and buy one when you can make a custom one and a really nice one right here? So it really gets them thinking forward and giving them that entrepreneurship. Like, I can do all this myself. Like, who's going to own a home, right? You want to be able to work on your own plumbing, work on your own electrical, and design and build things and fix things. And it's nice to have all those skills. So we have an amazing CTE program here, not just my program, but our construction tech and automotive and ag and business. It's really a nice, what I would call traditional CTE program. So the kids have a lot of really cool opportunities here.
Dan, that's so great that you're instilling those skills in them that they can take with them for the rest of their lives. But one of the things we want to talk about is filling the seats in a manufacturing program right now is one of the biggest challenges in manufacturing education. So what type of community outreach and summer camp programs are you offering to help fill the pipeline of future students at Redmond?
I have a really strong industry partnership. Not just here in Central Oregon, being from San Diego, I have industry partners down in San Diego, up in Washington, out in Idaho, that have really helped my program, donating free materials, tooling, money, and having those, especially the local ones. We run reverse career fairs. Well, they'll show up to the school. A good example, I had a industry partner show up that made shocks for mountain bikes and motocross. And the kids were like, what's he doing here? And I said, well, go ask him. And then they come running back like, he's using Mastercam to program his Haas machine. And it's like, yeah, we have all that stuff, and it kind of puts it all together for them, seeing like kids don't understand how stuff is made or where it's made, and really putting that in their face and having the industry support that I have. Plus the pipeline. I'm feeding these people. My kids that are into this are hired. I guarantee them 100%. I tell all the freshmen, I will guarantee you 100% I can get you a job your senior year making good money in any one of these fields. It's 100% guarantee. And they do. These guys show up to my classroom and they swoop up all the kids that are ready to go to work. The ones that are ready to go to school, the companies will tell them, we'll wait for you to be done with post-secondary and then we'll hire you. So, and I coach basketball. I'm an assistant coach for basketball. I really stay involved with the kids. I'm a kid at heart. I still skate. I still surf, snowboard. So I feel like I'm with my people when I'm around the kids. And I think they feel that. Like, I am strict when it comes to safety and all that kind of stuff, but I try to make my class as fun as possible. And I think that really, the kids, it's the word of mouth that the program builds. We have 3 welding instructors now this year.
Wow.
Because my welding class has blown up so much, I can't teach all the classes. So now there's 2 other welding instructors in there, and it's running 5 periods a day now. So it's really cool. And my district and my principal are very supportive of this program. They just bought me these brand new, really nice computers in here. Yeah, it's really fun.
And it sounds like you're showing the variety and diversity of careers that are available in manufacturing. And I think, in my opinion, I think one of the problems we seem to run into is that machining instructors are looking for machinists to come and enroll in their program. And I think you just answered a lot of this, but like, what do you do differently? If somebody says they're interested in your program, how do you describe what you do and what you learn in your program?
So the way I designed this program, when I was in the guitar industry, I did a lot of design work, designing guitar parts and things like that. I also programmed all the machines, and I ran the machines, and I did a lot of the processes within the shop. So I was doing a lot of things that, usually you have engineers and you have programmers and you have machinists, and they're all different people. So my goal in here was to expose the kids to all of those things. Computer-aided design. Some kids just like to sit in front of computers and are afraid to go out in the shop and get dirty. Some people are the opposite, right? My welders, they love just welding all day and being dirty all day. But I don't force the hand, but I show them like, hey, if you can design the part and build the part, you're a much more valuable asset in industry. So it's kind of this variety of different manufacturing jobs that are out there, all within this program, and you step through it as you go through. So the students that I have for 4 years are capable of doing quite a number of different types of jobs. So,
Pretty amazing.
and it gives them the opportunity to explore them all.
So I want to come enroll in your class. Do you take old people and teach them new tricks?
We do.
Perfect. And thank you so much for your time. Now we're going to move into our rapid fire questions. So these are some fun questions that we've put together. So if you could spend a day in someone else's shoes, who would it be?
Probably Kelly Slater.
Okay, so I was going to say Tony Hawk. Yeah. I don't know.
The funny thing about Tony Hawk, I put a skateboard helmet on, and I've had
you look like
so
him.
Many kids ask me for his autograph. I had another instructor at nationals ask. She came up and she's like, "Oh no, you're Tony Hawk." I'm like, "No, I'm a SkillsUSA advisor." And she took a picture with me, and a year later, I ran into her at a H-Tech event, and she was so embarrassed, like, "Oh my God, you're not Tony Hawk." I said, "No, I'm Phony Hawk."
Phony Hawk, I love it.
Yeah.
Dan, who's your favorite musician?
I have to say Derek Trucks. I just saw him 2 nights ago. Susan Tedeschi, Derek Trucks band. Yeah.
Okay, and I think I already know the answer to this one based on your history, but what was the first career that you dreamed of having as a kid?
Surfing professionally.
You may or may not know this, but I actually grew up in Australia, and obviously surfing's pretty big there, and I am not a surfer. I have a hard time just staying up on my own 2 feet on dry land. So,
wow.
The next question is, what are you most proud of professionally?
Becoming a teacher.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a dream job I never dreamed of. So.
And last but not least, what is the best piece of career advice that you give to your students every year?
Work ethic. Strong.
Love it.
Ethic. Yeah.
Well, on behalf of Clint and I, thank you so much for your time. Your passion is contagious. We're so fortunate to have you in the H-Tech Network and the Mastercam Educators Alliance. And thank you for the work that you're doing to create excitement and build curiosity about careers in manufacturing.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, Dan.